You guys, we are headed to Sonoma County to drop Leo off at the grandparents' house and start our kid-free couple days. We actually have a seminar that we're going to this weekend in Reno at American Iron Gym, and I'm so excited. We're gonna meet an Olympic judge, we're gonna meet all the pros, and I'm really pumped, so I'm really excited. We're stopped at this waterfall because it's massive. What do you think?
Mommy, it's slippery on the floor.
What do you think of the waterfall?
I like it. It also got me wet in the face.
Coming down.
All over me.
So we dropped off cookies to Dad, and oh my god. So now we're in Sonoma County, and we went to TJ Maxx. I got the cutest mug ever, okay? Look at her. And now that I drink hot coffee quite often and at home, now I have like another coffee cup, because I have one from Ray Dunn and it says Mug Life, and I love that coffee cup, but I wanted another one. And this, I love sunflowers. As you guys know, I have a sunflower tattoo. But I saw this, I was like, ooh. So I got it. And I got some workout shirts too. We were gonna go try out another gym. It's called Muscle Center or something in Sacramento, but they close at 4, and I don't know. We looked at all these gyms that were in Sac and in the area, and they just don't, they all close at like 3 or 4. And it's just all point signs towards don't go. I miss Leo already. But we dropped off some crumble cookies to Dad. We got him like 6. We got him the cookies and cream, butterscotch, chocolate mint, and a couple chocolate chip cookies, because he's a big fan of those. So we left him with some goodies. And we also saved some for ourselves too. We got a 4-pack to freeze at home for me. So yeah. But I'm really excited for this mug. I need to get the sticker off of it, but it's by Pottery Corner. I don't know, it's so cute. These are the shirts that I got. They're in a large. They either had a large or a small, and I know I'm not a small. So I got the large. But I think this is gonna be too big for my non-boobs. But I thought they were cute, so I'm gonna try to wear these too. But let's make the long drive back home. I'm drinking an actual Monster. I haven't had a Monster since last prep. Crazy. So I'm gonna have to pee. But let's go. It's a long drive. I miss Leo like crazy already, which is so sad because we just left him, but let's go. So we found this gym called Got Muscle. Look at this shit. I have to show you all around. Oh my god, it's so fucking cool. cream. Oh my god. Chocolate chip. And which one was this one? Mint. Oh my god, that smells so fucking good. That one's gonna be bomb, I can tell. I don't know what her motive was. We are getting ready for the seminar tomorrow. I'm bleaching my hair because I have, you know, that stripe of bleach. My camera's dirty. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna meal prep, get ready, and then Kim's coming over tomorrow morning at like 8, and then we're gonna drive to Reno for the convention. I don't know how much I'll be able to film. I'll see how it goes. I might film with my phone, but I'm so excited. Good morning. We are getting ready to go to the seminar. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. I'm gonna bring my heels, and I'm gonna wear some sweats on top of this because we're gonna work out before the actual seminar. So I've got sweats. I got Kelly coughing as always. But yeah, we're getting ready for the seminar, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Just need to eat some breakfast, and then we'll be good to go. Not Callie breaking her water bottle. Do I have so much to tell you guys about that seminar. First of all, I'm really sorry that I didn't film a lot of it. I didn't know if I could, and I didn't want to like whip out my camera because I sat like in the front seat. So I wanted to make sure that I was like involved and paying attention. And I wrote down some notes, so I wanted to share what I learned from the seminar. It was held in Reno at American Iron Gym, and it was free, which is insane. I thought it was going to be, I thought it should be, you know, quite a bit of money because they gave so much helpful information, even for a pro, even for somebody that has competed before, first competition, even just considering competing. It was such good information to where I think they could have made fucking bank off of that seminar. So I really appreciate Center Podium, you know, helping to put on this seminar, and everybody who was involved at American Iron for hosting it. We even got to work out at American Iron, which was so cool. And I get so nervous around new gyms. You guys saw how I was at Got Muscle versus American Iron. It was hard for me to like pull out my camera and want to film because it's not my home gym. I'm not used to their rules or if they have any. I didn't want to make people uncomfortable. You know, it's just like, I just get really nervous about that type of stuff. But I wanted to go over with you guys some really important information that I learned from the seminar and some questions that I got to ask. There were tons of big names at this seminar, and it was so just, first of all, Boyana. I got to meet Boyana and like talk to her. I've seen her before, like I met her at the Legion Sports Festival when I was working with Legendary, so that was cool. But being in a different setting, like in the seminar, was so cool. How many times am I gonna say seminar? I'm sorry. So I got to meet her, I got to meet the Predator, I got to meet and talk with Chris. I got to meet Sandy, like one of the head judges of the Olympia, of the Arnold. Like she's just, that was probably the person that I was most nervous to meet with Sandy, mostly because like she's a judge. So like me coming off of off season and like just starting my next prep, I'm like, it was so helpful to be able to talk to her, and she had such good information. She was probably the main speaker during this whole seminar aside from Chris, and she was just so incredibly knowledgeable and helpful and so eager to tell us about all the qualifications, requirements, how judging works, how they judge, how they break a tie, just all of this amazing information. It was just so inspiring. And afterwards we broke out into posing, which was even cooler because I got to work with Heidi, and I'll put her Instagram here. She's an IFBB pro in women's physique, which is what Callie has actually decided to do. So she's gonna be competing next year in 2024. So she's working towards that goal, and I'm so fucking proud of her. I'm so proud of her. So I got to work with Heidi for wellness posing, since they didn't have a wellness poser or pro there at the posing seminar. They didn't have a wellness pro, so I worked with Heidi. I got to work with Sandy. She looked at my body and gave me feedback. So I also got to work with Built by Nando, who is an online coach. Obviously, we already know I have a coach. I love my coach. Built by Nando. He is one of the people that was there to kind of go over posing for wellness, and he had some really good insight as far as like what to look for in a coach, because there were quite a few people there who had never competed and who were also interested in bodybuilding, not necessarily training or have probably never stepped foot in a gym, but they were there and they were asking questions, and he was answering them based on like how to find the right coach, what are the red flags for a coach, that you should listen to the coach that you have, and all of this amazing information. I think, Crystal, I think you would have had some amazing input as well, so I'm just saying. But he was the coach for Heidi, who is the amazing, oh my God, Heidi Worrell Osborne. She's an absolutely amazing physique competitor. She's a pro. She's just probably one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Like, looking at her, you're like, holy shit, she's huge. Like, I'm nervous to talk to her. She's absolutely a unit, but she is so fucking sweet. She's so humble. She's so kind. She knows a lot. And she competed in so many different divisions. I believe she did figure, even bikini, she did wellness. So she has this like all around knowledge of these different divisions. So she helped a lot with posing for wellness. And it was me, and I think like 4 or 5 other girls. One of the girls was 8 weeks out from her next show. And when we did posing, like we did practice posing in front of Built by Nando, and they were like, oh, we're gonna move you guys around just so you can kind of get a feel of what it's like to be on stage and move around each competitor. And I know it was practice. I know I should think too much into this, but they put me in the middle of like these, I think like 6 girls, right? And they were moving everybody but me. Everybody but me, okay? And he looked at me and he's like, you are holding this pose fucking perfectly. Like, you have this shit nailed. When I tell you that my ego was very much like pat on the back, and that doesn't normally happen. Like, my ego is very, very fragile. So like, I don't know, I don't like taking compliments because, you know, this whole sport is about beating your last package and competing with yourself. So when somebody else gives you a compliment, it's like, oh, thank you. But it's like, you're still in this battle with yourself. So like, compliments from other people don't usually hit the same. But when a big name like Sandy, like when she said, I asked her for, I'll tell you what she said and then I'll go into what I learned from the seminar. So when I went up to her at the end of the seminar, I was super nervous. I was like shaky. I like didn't know, because she's a big name. She's a big name in the bodybuilding community. So I wanted to make sure that I like made a good impression. I'm obviously coming off of an off season, so I'm not in my prime stage lean presence. So I go up to her, there's somebody else talking to her. So I'm just like standing there like this, like just waiting for a break in the conversation for me to ask her if she could like look at my body. And she turns around to me and I'm like, hi, my name's Sammy. Like, can I ask you a question? And she's like, oh my God, yeah. And I was like, can you like look at my body? And she's like, absolutely. I was like, so I was figure, and then I decided that my body was more suited for wellness. So I switched to wellness. And she's like, oh, just by looking at you, I can just say you're wellness. Absolutely. And she's like, show me your front pose. And I hit my front pose. She's like, good, great. Yeah, we want to see that curve of the hamstring, that glute. We want to see that. And then she's like, show me your back pose. And the only thing she said was, I'll show you guys the clip, but she said upper glute. That's what you need to work on, is upper glute, but everything else looks great. And I was like, ah. I was like so excited. I was so excited because if there was anything else that she saw right off the bat that needed improvement, she would have told me. But the fact that she just said upper glute, we know what to work on. During the whole, like, it was from like 12 to 4. So during that whole time they were talking about, like all the pros were talking about how judging went and how when they would talk to Sandy and she would give them advice on what to do in the next show to improve and like improve their placement, they applied what she said and they got their pro card. They got nationally qualified. They got overall. Like when they listened to Sandy and they got that feedback from her and they applied what she said to their training, massive improvement. So upper glute for me. Upper glute, that's what I'm gonna be focusing on. I've already communicated that with my coach. Okay, so let me grab my notes and we'll go over what important questions I wanted to go over as far as competing. Okay, all right, so first and foremost, one of the biggest speculations of competitions and competing is that prejudging and finals are different, and they are to an extent. So prejudging is basically where the judges get an idea of who's out there on stage. Now, depending on the class and how many people are in there, the judges have a few people to look at, or they have hundreds to look at, like bikini versus physique. There's gonna be twice as much bikini girls as there is gonna be physique. So pre-judging is going to be more of the decision making for a smaller class than it is for bikini. Now, people think that finals, that the judging is over, that they don't have to try in finals, that it's just for fun. And yes, finals is for you and the family and to hype up the crowd, but the judges are also making more decisions. There have been a lot of cases where the first and second place in prejudging have swapped in finals because, oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. So yeah, the judging is not done when it comes to finals. There have been a lot of instances where they've made last minute changes, or somebody from prejudging comes into finals thinking, oh, I've already got this in the bag, and they eat whatever the fuck they want. Or like before finals and they get on stage and they look completely different, and the judges are like, wait a minute, this is not the same person that we put in first in prejudging. So then they switch their brains, switch their placements, and they make the second person the first. So you always have to be on your game. Finals does not mean that the judging is over. They are still making changes. If there are none to be made, If there are none to be made, then yeah, finals is the last say, but there might still be some adjustments and tweaking, so make sure you are always ready. You are always on your game, you're on time, you're there, you stay in game mode until the very last portion of the night. So a question that I asked, and I was really nervous to raise my hand during this whole thing because it was Sandy that was answering my questions, and everybody looks at you when you ask a question, which is horrifying for an introvert. But I asked about tattoos because I had asked my coach previously, and you know, she gave me a great answer that they never outwardly said that it was going to affect your placing, but you just don't want it to muddy up your lines, which is pretty much what Sandy was saying. She said, she was like, that's a great question. The only time it'll affect your placement is if it's covering a major muscle. And then she went along with that and she said, but if it's covering a major muscle, but your muscle is big enough to pop through that tattoo, it will not make a difference, because there's the Predator who has tattoos all over his body, and he has taken overall and everything, he's been so successful in his career. And it was funny because I looked at him, they're like, yeah, he didn't succeed at all, but he's like head to toe covered in tattoos. One main thing she did say is if you do have tattoos, do not try to cover them with makeup, any type of cover up that you might have, because the tan will fuck it up. It'll show, it's bad. The tan itself will cover up the majority of your tattoos. It'll kind of mute them out so that they're not super blaring in the judge's face. But they made it clear that tattoos, they won't, like, the judges won't see your tattoo and be like, oh, she's not getting first place because she has a tattoo. It's not like that whatsoever, just placement wise. And if you have a tattoo covering a major body part, compensate. Make that muscle big, make it stand out, show it off the way that makes it look good. Oh, okay, I was confused about this one. So another major speculation about placements on stage when you're being prejudged. So Sandy went with this and said, a lot of people think that if you're placed on the outside, you're considered as not placing on the top 3. But she says that sometimes she will move those first place people out of the way and off to the side to decide on 3rd, 4th place, 5th, 6th place. Like, there are so many different places they could put you. So being in the middle doesn't necessarily mean that you are first place. I know that's the case with a lot of judges, that if you are in the middle, you're holding the middle, that's a good sign, but it's not always the case. So make sure you keep that in mind. I think that also helps with keeping the mindset the same. If you get moved from the middle to the outside, don't let that show in your face, because the judges will remember that. They see the sportsmanship, they see the attitude change. They need to see you hold that I'm just proud to be here face, you know? Also, people thinking that the shows are fixed, the judges pick their favorites, whatever. No, that is also a huge misconception, and Sandy definitely cleared that up. So another question that she gets a lot is, can you switch classes? So like, the day before the show, you go up and you register, you show them your NPC card, you purchase your card, you get your number, you can tell them then and there if you want to add a class to your competition. So let's say if I'm wellness now, right? So if I wanted to go in and say, hey, I actually wanted to do a crossover and do the figure class as well. Then they can add that and I can pay for it separately. So you are definitely able to switch over classes. I had that happen in my last show in Tahoe show where somebody from physique wanted to do figure, and you know, they obviously blew it out of the water because physique is absolutely insane and they have so much muscle and it's incredible. So you can switch classes, you can do crossovers. I wouldn't recommend a bikini girl doing crossover to wellness because the muscle density is obviously very different, but if you did something like even wellness to figure or figure to wellness, you never know, it just depends on who you're going against. So another thing to do if you're unsure of what class to be in, what division to be in, is you can do a crossover and just see where the judges like you best. You could have a body that holds muscle in the lower better than you do in the upper, which means that wellness might be a better fit for you. It all depends on genetics, how you want your body to look for the long run, because it's not just how you want it to look during prep, during show day, but how you want to carry yourself every other day as well. Because like we say in the bodybuilding industry, like it's a lifestyle, it's not just a hobby, it's not just like a phase, although it can be for some, which is totally fine. But those that take us seriously, it's a lifestyle, and we pick and choose how we want our bodies to look, and that's off season, that's on season, that's prep, that's show day. It's when we take breaks, it's literally, it's who we are. And it's really cool to listen to these pros talk about how even if they're not competing, they still train their body like they are, because it gives them discipline, it gives them a routine, it gives them a schedule. And that's comfort for us. It's comfortable to be able to go through life. Even if we stop competing, it's nice to be able to know what to eat, how to eat, to not be unhealthy and to not fall into the same old patterns. It's great. And I think that highlights some of the best portions of bodybuilding and not just the horrible stereotypes that you hear of today. And another, this is probably my last big speculation. So Heidi touched on this more and Sandy touched on this more than I think any of the other competitors did, but you don't have to take anything. There have been Olympians all over the world that have made it to stage and who have succeeded and crushed people without taking a supplement ever. No requirement that says that you have to be on anything in order to succeed in this career. In no way, shape, or form does it mean that if you take a supplement or an enhancement that you don't have to train as hard. That is not the case. Okay, it's like if you get a gastric bypass, right? The surgery that shrinks your stomach. If you get that, but you keep eating the same shit food that you've been eating, you don't exercise, you don't work with it, it's not gonna do anything for you. Your stomach's gonna stretch back out and you're gonna gain the weight back, right? Same thing with enhancements. If you take an enhancement, but you don't work out, it's an enhancement. It's supposed to enhance the work that you're already putting in. So athletes that take the enhancements doesn't mean that they don't work as hard as people who are natural. So what Sandy and what Heidi were trying to get out there as far as a message to new competitors who don't know anything about, you know, the sport and the things that you can and cannot take and what you should and shouldn't take, and it all depends on your coach, your own personal preference. That's another red flag that they pointed out for coaches. If a coach is trying to shove something down your throat and not giving you the knowledge behind it, the why, not giving you an option, fucking fire the fuck out of that coach. Fuck no, You do not want a coach to shove things into your mouth, into your face without knowledge, without you being comfortable asking why. Like, oh, take this vitamin D, why? And then being able to give you a solid answer as to what it does, why you take it, how it's gonna help you, and what the side effects are, if anything. Do not get a coach that will not explain to you what you're putting into your body. It's not worth it. So the moral of that story is that Olympians don't have to take something in order to be successful. Athletes don't. If you do, that's fucking great. If you don't, that's fucking great. It is all based on personal preference. There is no right way to go about bodybuilding as far as like personal preferences. If you only want to hit legs, fucking fantastic, only hit legs. That's what's so great about this sport. Bodybuilding is just that. It's building your body how you want it to go. If you want to compete, you gotta fall into some guidelines of what they're looking for in that division. But the moral of that whole speech that Heidi and Sandy made was that there are plenty of Olympians and successful athletes that have made it to the very fucking top, crushing everybody in their path without the pressure of having to take something. So it's possible. Those of you that want to stay natural, those of you that want to take enhancements, it's fucking great. do what makes you happy. I took so much away from this show. I took so much away from this whole thing, and I'm still blown away that it was free. I'm so happy that I was able to attend. It was myself, it was Callie and Kim and Christy, all teammates. We all work with the same coach, and it was so fucking cool to hear the people who have never done it before and who are interested in it to ask the questions and hear from the athletes and hear from the audience, like people that have their own stories. Like I shared that, hey, I thought when I first competed that going in to get tanned, I'd be wearing a bikini. Nope, you're naked. You are naked in front of like dozens of other females. I cannot tell you how many boobs I saw the first time I tanned. So many boobs, so many vaginas. Yep, if you are unfamiliar with the female anatomy, you won't be then to be able to share that kind of funny bit of information, because not a lot of people knew that, and it got a great laugh. And I heard people be like, really, what, you're naked? Like, yeah, you're naked. There's no hiding it at that point. And we talked a lot about, you know, sportsman etiquette, backstage presence, and being supportive of everybody backstage is so important, because even I've experienced this where when prejudging happens, everybody's on edge, everybody's enemy, and it's such a tense energy back there most of the time. And then once you hit finals, everybody's all happy, like, oh my god, hi, you're in what division? Oh my god, you're gonna do so great, because they already have a sense of what placing they've got. But like I said before, even in prejudging, it can change in finals. So always stay on your game. That doesn't mean that you need to be mean to people though. If there is somebody in your division who looks better than you, who looks worse than you, be nice to them. You're all there for the same reason, because you wanted to improve yourself, and you're part of like the 0.2% of people that can do this sport. There's literally no reason to be so harsh and mean towards people in the back. Everybody's nervous, everybody's sweating, everybody's hungry. Just go out there and present what you can. There's nothing you can change at that point. You can't change anything when you're backstage. So why be mean to somebody and try to bring somebody down emotionally and mentally when you're about to go on stage and show what you've done? Because trust me, if that gets back to the wrong person, that you were that way backstage, that might affect like the way you're looked at in this sport. And trust me, you don't want any bad opinions about you back there, because it can get to the wrong person. And as far as like other athletes, part of teams, not part of teams, just don't be mean to each other. If you're at the gym and you see somebody that's struggling at the gym, support them, hype them up. This fitness industry goes so much wider than just competing. There have been so many things that I've seen that I wish I could have spoken up on at the gym, not in regards to competing or training or anything like that, but just people doing their best there. And it's just so heartbreaking to see like cliques of girls that come into the gym making fun of the girl on the treadmill who's really trying to push past their own mental breaking point. You know, it's so heartbreaking to see, and you want to be that person that can be their hype man, because they probably don't have one. They probably are in there trying to fight their own demons and get past this plateau, or they're unhappy with how they look and they're finally there, and then they get hit in the face by preteens who make fun of them for being there. Like, that's not okay. At the end of the day, that whole experience just opened my eyes to how passionate we are about this sport, how passionate we are about fitness and health and bettering our bodies and bettering ourselves mentally. And it was just such an awesome experience to have, and I'm so lucky to be able to have gone. We had a perfect break where Leo was going to visit the grandparents, so we didn't have to deal with, you know, babysitting and all that stuff, so that was awesome. Callie and I were able to spend a few days together, and it was just so great. And I'm just so fortunate and lucky to be able to have the coach that I have, the support that I have, just everything. It was so fucking cool. I want to go to every seminar that I can now, because even as a pro, when I turn pro, I'm still going to be going to these seminars because they're so helpful. You learn so much information. Even the pros were learning from Sandy, and it was like they've been competing for years, and they're like, oh, I just learned something today. You never stop learning. You never stop growing, you never stop improving. Bodybuilding is a lifestyle, it's a life choice. You're always growing and enhancing and mentally just blossoming. And it's just so crazy, it's so cool, and you meet the best people there, best people there. That's all I have to say. I know I was rambling a lot and I kind of went on a tangent about being nice to people, but that's just such an important thing these days. There's not enough niceness in the world, so we need to work on that. But today is Sunday. I turned in my check-in yesterday. Coach is going through a hell of a time right now, so I probably won't get it back today. I'll probably get it back tomorrow or so. But we've kept the same plan the last couple weeks, and I weighed in I'll share my weight with you guys for this last check-in, because this just goes to show that weight fluctuates, and it's going to. We're not looking, like I said before, we're not looking for the scale to drop right now because we're not changing enough for it to drop that much. And I think I'm about to start my period here soon, so I might be holding on to some water. But I weighed in, last week I weighed in at 158.3. This week I weighed in at 160.4. So that could be a multitude of things. Lack of sleep, water retention, nerves of the seminar. It could be a bunch of things. Nobody ever knows. It's just how the body works. I could be putting on more muscle. You never know. So as long as my measurements are staying the same, which they are, my glutes went up a little bit. There's no alarm. I'm following all the protocols, all my trainings, all my diet. So the body just changes and it's okay. Please don't focus too much on the scale, because when it comes to competing, at the end of the day, you do not care about what the scale says on show day. Like, yeah, sure, it'd be cool to see the difference between your first show and your third show, because I know I'm gonna weigh in heavier in this show than I am in my figure show, because I put on a solid like 10 pounds of muscle since then. So my stage weight is probably not gonna be 132. I don't fucking know, we'll see. But I'm pleased with myself. The posing section of that whole thing yesterday was so fun and kind of nerve-wracking, but it was really cool. And I got to meet a bunch of people, and I got to talk to Sandy, and it was so awesome. And oh, I wish I had filmed more, but I was just so engulfed in this whole experience, I just didn't even think about it. But I hope you guys liked this vlog. We tried out 2 new gyms this week. Got Muscle in Sacramento and American Iron Gym in Reno. Got Muscle was definitely probably my favorite as far as those 2 gyms. And now we have a place to go when we drop Leo off to visit the grandparents. So that's kind of cool. We have a staycation in Sac, and now we also have one in Reno. So that's awesome. I like the comfort of knowing where the good gyms are, because then wherever I travel, I know I have an outlet to go. So I'm really excited. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. That's it. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna end the vlog today. Hopefully we get to go to more seminars, because that was extremely exciting and so beneficial. It's also snowing again. We can't catch a break. Literally cannot catch a break. Hopefully this is the last storm, but we'll see.